boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
At 6'9", with that reach, with this skill set, with this now power and full boxing IQ that has blossomed, who in history would you consider putting him up against and saying that guy would definitely topple him?
Tyson Fury can compete, I believe, in any era. In any era of the heavyweight division. And I say that because, one, his size. 6'9". We haven't seen a heavyweight that size before. Just as Mark alluded to. His skills. He can switch southpaw. He can orthodox. He can fight long. He can fight in the inside. He has punching power. He's smarter than everybody. He's better than everybody on the mic besides Muhammad Ali. I mean, you can go back and you look at these guys. Muhammad Ali is about 6'3"-ish. George Foreman's about 6'3.5". I mean, he's bigger than all these guys, and they have to deal with all of those elements I just mentioned.
It's not Tyson Fury's fault. He did what he was supposed to do. He promoted himself to the best he could. Bob Arum, the likes of Tim Bradley, ESPN, perhaps overcooked the evaluation of Tyson Fury. John McDermott was coming off 2 losses to Danny Williams, one of them for the British heavyweight title. He was no more than decent level domestic. Went on to get knocked out by David Price in 2 rounds. David Price amongst one of the fighters that Tyson Fury ducked to amass his still impressive win-to-loss ratio on his record. But John McDermott was no taller than Muhammad Ali or the heavyweights of yesteryear. Big guy, but arguably because he ate too many pies. And his loss to Fury was very controversial on points. But how big was Steve Cunningham, who had Tyson Fury over and hurt pretty badly? Or Nevin Pikic? I'm not going to marginalise the Deontay Wilder wins. They were very good wins. 2 wins over Wilder, which I think proved that he could probably handle himself in most eras, in certain style matchups. But if he had to fight with the same frequency that Muhammad Ali fought 4 or 5 times a year, he'd have more losses on his record, in my opinion. The quick turnarounds don't suit him. The quick turnaround from May to December to rematch Usyk, and he had no say in this because he no longer had leverage as Usyk was now the champion, was not in his favour. It was in Usyk's favour. The athlete who's lived the better life, kept himself better conditioned, more disciplined, reaped the benefits, even though he was older than Tyson Fury. I wonder why Tim doesn't extend the same courtesy to Alexander Usyk, who's beat the guy he said was arguably the best ever heavyweight twice.
You know, looking at everybody and what they saying, man, and you know, I finally sat down and watched it, but I'm finna give y'all the real right now. First of all, I'm finna start, and I'm not even gonna talk about the fight right now. But all this all-time great shit that's going on, all-time great? Are you kidding me? Man, look, recency bias. Just because he beat the 2 best heavyweights of this era does not make him an all-time great. Usyk, that's what I'm talking about. Usyk, he is not an all-time great.
So he beats Tyson Fury twice. The man who you said
he is probably the best heavyweight of all time. Hypothetically.
I can't go there.
Hypothetically. Who else can deal with him?
Listen to Tim. He's not saying, how can you say he's the GOAT? He's not saying greatest of all time. He's saying, how can you consider him to be one of the greats? Because he beat someone who you considered to be the all-time great. And then he tried to say he's only had 23 fights. He can't be considered an all-time great. Well, how do you consider Tyson Fury hypothetically the best ever when Fury's only had 8 world heavyweight title fights, of which he's won 5? If you're going by numbers, you would know that Joe Louis, Vladimir Klitschko, Larry Holmes have way more defenses. Muhammad Ali has way more defenses. If you want to go there, Anthony Joshua got way more defenses. Deontay Wilder got way more defenses, if we're talking about numbers. Usyk has 5 heavyweight title fights, 5 wins, and is undisputed champion. Does that get him on the all-time great list? You can't praise Fury so lavishly and then be dismissive of Usyk, who beat the guy who you said hypothetically is the best heavyweight ever. And here's the thing. Tim didn't have to say this. He went on his YouTube channel, right, to bash Usyk. And that's what it sounds like to me. You're bashing the guy after 2 wins over a man you said was hypothetically the best heavyweight ever of all time. And we're talking about Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, Jack Dempsey, Rocky Marciano, Sonny Liston, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis, and any other greats I've missed out. First undisputed heavyweight champion in over a quarter of a century. That has to be given some consideration in him being an all-time great. Just saying.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
September the 27th this year, Sandy Ryan had a can of red paint thrown at her hours before she left her New York hotel to fight MIKAELA Mayor at Madison Square Garden. Sandy was defending her WBO welterweight title. She lost a majority decision. She herself says the incident shook her up and it threw her off her game a little. Sandy was suggesting that MIKAELA Mayor's team had something to do with the attack. There was an investigation and Eddie Hearn said there was headway into the investigation and there'd be serious implications, but we haven't heard of anybody getting charged or nothing, and it kind of disappeared as a news story. MIKAELA Mayor, of course, denied she had any involvement in the incident, and with Lauren Price and Natasha Jonas apparently all signed up for March the 7th, 2025 at the Royal Albert Hall, unifying their belts, MIKAELA doesn't have a dance partner, and they're talking about a Sandy Ryan rematch. Now, Sandy's got to think carefully. Does she go back out across the pond to try and get her belt back after her last experience? Yeah, I think she should just beef up the security a little. Go get the belts back. It was a very close fight, in my opinion. A very good fight, actually. Good to see Lauren Price and Natasha Jonas get their fight over the line. The way Joe Gallagher was talking, the fight wasn't signed because of issues with the PED testing, and he seemed to be trying to sweet up Eddie Hearn to get a fight with Katie Taylor. But then again, who isn't trying to get that Katie Taylor money? How impressive is it that Claressa, 29 years of age, is fighting over this 46-year-old rapper who's still married to Remy, I believe? Claressa's here saying, oh, the relationship is over. It's over, but she's still technically married. And here's the thing. Remy has the ring. I don't think Remy is necessarily the best candidate for a wife, but that's Papooses' business. And there's always a chance that they'll just get back together. And then Claressa will be where? Claressa offered Remy a boxing match. Remy don't fight. What did she go to jail for? And these are things Claressa has to think about. You know, rappers have delicate egos. Remy don't look like the type who would take it lightly that, you know, you slept with her husband, then you've offered her the hands. And these New York girls like Remy, they're grimy. They're grimy, you know what I mean? Like, so if you're going to sleep with her husband, at least try and be humble about it. Maybe be a little remorseful. Say you shouldn't have did it. Maybe an apology. Extend the olive branch. But that's not Claressa's style. Papoose ain't going to put no ring on Claressa's finger. And she's been recently campaigning to get married, Claressa. So it's something she wants to do, but Papoose ain't going to be that guy. Is she so impressed that she's getting it from a dude that you're going to offer to fight Remy? Brag like a teenage girl that he chose you? That's just like madness. But I heard Claressa talking to Andre Ward, and she had issues growing up. Like her mum left her to stay with her grandma while her other siblings got to stay with mum. And she had issues with her old man, and she's had therapy. So it hasn't been easy. But it's still no excuse. Bragging about her fight with Savannah Marshall was bigger than Katie Taylor's and Amanda Serrano's. Couldn't even let them have their minute of spotlight without jumping in it. And now she's complaining that no female boxers are supporting her with a biopic movie about her life and her journey. There's probably a lot of people who are not supporting Claressa Shields' film. And if you've got this film coming out, or this product coming out, and you want attention on this product, why are you threatening to put hands on this rapper? Almost brag that you're banging her husband. You've put your film project on the back burner for some shit that people might consider ratchet and ghetto. And now she's claiming people are hating because they're not supporting her film. We'll promote the film then. The whole, oh, they're hating on me is so juvenile. She's hating on herself. Maybe she thought the Remy Papoose incident would be a good sales pitch for the film. Battle rapping, spitting her rap bars about Remy, sabotaging herself. No one else to blame. If the film flops, no one else to blame.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
THIERRY Jacob, R.I.P, former IBF super bantamweight champion. Like, it's just a bit of a flashback for me, you know what I mean? He passed away. I don't even know what the cause of death was yet. I'll tell you what, yeah, that fight he had with Kelvin Seabrooks for that bantamweight title was crazy. First punch, Seabrooks put him over. Jacobs come back and decked him twice in the first round. Crazy round. 6th round, floored him again. Then he went toe-to-toe, 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 and like Jacob was cut badly over the eye, and they retired him in the corner with a cut eye. What a crazy fight. Jacobs outpointed Duke McKenzie for that European title in France. He finally won the 122 crown from the very good Daniel Zaragoza and lost it in his first defense to Floyd Patterson's son, adopted son, Tracy Harris Patterson. Yeah, his son used to box, was a world champion. And the French, they used to love their boxing. The crowds were crazy over there. Jacobs was one of their biggest stars. He's passed away. Must be around 59, 60 years of age. He's one of them names you pick up the boxing news, you'd always see his fight reports. So I'm going to pay my respects. R.I.P.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
Heavyweight division, 2024. The best knockouts and stoppages. Fabio Wardley defending his British title against Frazer Clarke. TKO first round, breaking Frazer Clarke's cheekbone and jaw with some humongous right hands. The last of which left Frazer Clarke's features contorted, his mouth leaning to the right. Observers thought he had a stroke at the time. Scary viewing. Daniel Dubois defending his IBF heavyweight title against Anthony Joshua, knocking Joshua out in 5. Joshua recovered from a sluggish start where he was on the canvas a few times. Looked like he was coming back into it and hurt Dubois himself in the 5th before getting caught and offered up his chin after throwing a sloppy right uppercut. Right hand by Daniel Dubois. Good night, Vienna. Moses Itoma versus Dempsey McKean. I thought this fight was going to be a whole lot tougher, but Moses made light work of Dempsey McKean, the Australian, who was more experienced, more seasoned, had more knockouts than Moses had fights, and 2 tremendous left hands produced a couple of knockdowns, and Dempsey quit after the second knockdown. He turned away from the action and walked towards the ropes. Didn't want no more. First round. Zhilei Zhang versus Deontay Wilder. After 4 relatively uneventful rounds, Zhang went to work when Deontay opened up with some big right hands. Wilder, like Anthony Joshua, showed very poor technique when he tried to get too ambitious with his right hand down the pipe, overextended and left his chin out. Zhang countered with a right hand, which spun Deontay 360 degrees into another right hand, put him on the canvas. He was in no condition to continue. Referee waved it off. TKO, round 5. Zhilei Zhang. Next on the list is Martin Bakole versus unbeaten Jared Anderson. A lethal heavyweight display it was as he walked Jared Anderson down, dared Anderson to fire as he countered with lethal left uppercuts, right uppercuts. An effortlessly delivered left uppercut deposited Anderson to the canvas in the 5th and had a lot of us reminiscing about George Foreman, the way it was delivered. The follow-up combination was just as deadly. A brave Anderson was stopped on his feet. TKO 5 for Martin Bakole, who started 2025 with a GoFundMe page. Yes, his career was unskid. He will next take on Ajit Kabayel in an IBF Eliminator. Let's not forget Daniel Dubois versus Filip Pugovic, which came before his knockout victory over Anthony Joshua. Daniel Dubois had to walk through several right hands as Pugovic, with the amateur pedigree, seemed to be outboxing him with ease and looked on course to stop Daniel Dubois. An alarming amount of right hands got through his defense. But Dubois gritted down, better conditioning. Pugovic's conditioning let him down big time, and he was the favourite to win this. But Daniel beat up Pugovic on the inside. A bit of illegal usage of the head, can't be denied, but that thumping jab and his power punches started to do damage to Pugovic's face. Pugovic started feeling sorry for himself and he couldn't come out for round 8. Great win in a fight where Daniel was the underdog. Francis Ngannou, an MMA champion from the UFC, was world ranked by the WBC on the strength of his split decision loss to Tyson Fury, where he had Fury on the canvas from a left hook. Francis was rewarded with a big fight against leading contender Anthony Joshua at that time. Francis made the big mistake by trying to box with the Olympic gold medalist from the 2012 London Games, who in the first round took advantage of Francis' hand placement when he dropped his backhand, countered with a right hand and deposited Francis to the canvas. Francis, in my opinion, underestimated Anthony Joshua, found himself on the canvas again in the beginning of the second round as AJ raked him with the jab to head, then body, then countered a Francis Ngannou left jab with another right hand. It was almost like Anthony Joshua was reading a book, a step-by-step guide on how to dissect his opponent. Francis, clearly groggy after the second knockdown. When the referee asked him can he continue, he said yes. AJ followed up with an unadulterated PG right hand. A monstrous shot, it has to be said. Francis laid out on his back, was never going to beat the 10 count. Some may say he shouldn't have been in the ring with AJ, but this was a monster that Frank Warren and Fury created, and AJ had to slay that monster, and he did what he had to do. Second round knockout for AJ.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.